Have you ever felt that invisible weight of stress, not just, in your head, but really in your body? Particularly, have you noticed maybe your blood pressure readings starting to, well, creep up a bit, especially if you're over 60, and wondered, is there a connection to those really demanding days? You're absolutely not alone. Today, we're doing a deep dive specifically for you, our listener. Our mission is to uncover that intricate, often overlooked thread connecting your daily stress to those, let's face it, concerning blood pressure numbers. But here's the exciting part. We're also going to reveal some really hopeful news that points to you having the power to break this cycle. We'll explore the exact mechanisms at play and, maybe more importantly, some natural, time-tested methods you can actually integrate into your life.
It's such a critical area to understand, really. What often gets missed, I think, is that nearly 70% of patients over 60, they just don't realize how profoundly stress impacts their cardiovascular health. And the latest research, from 2024, it doesn't just suggest a link. It clearly shows chronic stress doesn't just make you feel overwhelmed. It literally fundamentally changes how your blood vessels function. So our deep dive today will try to bridge perspectives. We'll combine insights from, say, traditional Chinese medicine with modern scientific understanding. The aim is to give you a truly comprehensive and actionable picture.
Okay, so let's really dig into the science then. When we talk about stress affecting our bodies, we often hear about that classic fight or flight response, right? Can you maybe break down, in simple terms, what's actually happening inside us when that ancient alarm system kicks in? And how does it directly hit our blood pressure?
Absolutely, yeah. Think of your cardiovascular system like a finely tuned machine, or maybe a sophisticated irrigation system. When a stressor hits, could be anything, your body basically perceives a threat. And that triggers this immediate ancient alarm. Your adrenal glands, they spring into action. They release these powerful stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And recent studies from the American Heart Association, for instance, they confirm these hormones. They tell your heart to beat faster, almost like a drum roll, yeah? And at the same time, they cause your blood vessels to narrow, to constrict. So this dual action, it dramatically increases the pressure inside your arteries. It's a temporary spike, sure, but it's intense.
Right, that rapid response, it makes total sense in a crisis situation. But it's interesting you mentioned ancient wisdom. Did traditional Chinese medicine, like thousands of years ago, did they have a way of understanding this kind of internal imbalance we now link to stress?
Oh, they absolutely did. And it's fascinating how parallel it is. TCM, they thought about this immediate heightened state as an acute imbalance, an imbalance between your body's yin and yang energies. So yang represents activity, heat, that quick response. Yin is more about coolness, calm, rest. Under acute stress, your yang energy flares up kind of aggressively. It overwhelms the yin, and that leads to symptoms like, rapid heart rate, rising pressure. It really mirrors what modern science observes.
Okay, so that's the immediate thing, the temporary response. But what happens when stress isn't just a brief alarm? What if it's more like a constant hum in the background? Does that temporary response ever become, permanent, especially for older adults?
That's the crucial point, really, because what starts temporary can become deeply entrenched.
Yes.
Research that came out in 2024, it highlights that adults over 60 are particularly susceptible to what scientists are calling chronic low-grade stress. Now, this isn't some dramatic crisis usually. It's more like a persistent, mild state of tension. It just never quite goes away. I think about, common concerns that create this background hum for older adults, worries about health, financial security, maybe shifts in family relationships, or even social isolation. These things create a constant physiological demand, and it can become a vicious cycle. Recent Harvard Medical School research points this out. Chronic stress raises blood pressure,
right,
which then leads to anxiety about your health, which in turn generates even more stress.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And the danger is really amplified for seniors because, as the Mayo Clinic's 2024 guidelines emphasize, our blood vessels naturally become less flexible with age. They just do. So this means even small but sustained increases in blood pressure can have significantly more severe consequences.
That makes perfect sense, that constant background hum of stress. It really resonates. And you mentioned traditional Chinese medicine earlier. Does TCM offer maybe a deeper insight into how this kind of chronic emotional stress shows up as high blood pressure?
It absolutely does, and it provides a really compelling framework, I think. From a TCM perspective, chronic emotional stress, particularly emotions like, say, anger, frustration, or just unresolved tension, it can lead to what is called liver key stagnation. Imagine your body's vital energy, the key, needing to flow smoothly like a river, unhindered. When stress creates a sort of dam, this energy gets blocked. It builds up pressure, especially in the liver system. In TCM, the liver is associated with the smooth flow of blood, emotions, detoxification. So this energetic pressure then manifests physically as hypertension. TCM also describes how chronic stress can deplete kidney yin and yang energy. These are foundational for overall vitality and balance. And this allows liver qi to rise upward, unchecked, creating kind of the perfect conditions for elevated blood pressure.
And it's not just ancient theory, right? I understand modern science is actually starting to corroborate some of these ideas.
Precisely. It's a really beautiful intersection of knowledge, actually. For example, modern research on acupuncture published just last year in 2023. It shows that stimulating specific points can measurably reduce blood pressure. How? By improving nervous system regulation, essentially helping to, well, unblock that qi flow or calm that rising liver by calming the body's overall stress response. It shows a profound commonality, in understanding how the body regulates itself.
Okay, and delving deeper into the physical impact, beyond just the immediate hormones. I've heard you talk about an inflammatory connection. How does chronic stress actually fuel inflammation, and what does that mean for our blood vessels as we age?
That's another really crucial piece of this puzzle. Chronic stress doesn't just trigger an immediate response. It kicks off this low-level systemic inflammation all through your body. And it happens especially directly within your blood vessels. This chronic inflammation, it essentially roughens up the smooth inner lining of your arteries. It makes them stiffer, less responsive. Imagine like a garden hose that becomes rigid and brittle over time and needs more pressure to push the water through.
Yeah.
Well, studies show that people over 60 who experience chronic stress have blood vessels that function as if they're maybe 10, even 15 years older than their actual age.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. And it forces your heart to work much harder just to circulate blood. That directly contributes to higher blood pressure.
That's a really stark image, our vessels prematurely aging like that. And speaking of aging, what about sleep? It feels like another domino that falls, Stress messes with sleep, and that just seems to compound the whole problem.
It's absolutely the missing link, often. Stress notoriously disrupts sleep, we all know that. And quality sleep, that's when your body naturally lowers blood pressure. It repairs cellular damage. It allows the cardiovascular system crucial downtime. National Sleep Foundation research shows that getting fewer than 7 hours of sleep regularly, that can increase your risk of hypertension by up to 30%.
30%.
Yeah. And for seniors who already might face some age-related sleep challenges, well, stress-induced sleep disruption becomes a really significant silent contributor to high blood pressure. Your body simply misses out on those vital repair periods, night after night.
Gosh, it's a lot to take in. It makes stress feel like this pervasive adversary. But you also mentioned there's hope on the horizon, this connection. It works both ways, right?
Exactly. That's the empowering part. The good news is this stress-blood pressure connection. It is definitely a two-way street. Studies consistently show that stress reduction techniques can lower blood pressure. We're talking 5 to 15 points.
Really? That much?
Yes. And that's often enough to move you from the hypertensive range back towards normal levels, or maybe significantly reduce medication needs in consultation with a doctor, of course. It's not about eliminating all stress. I mean, that's impossible, probably not even healthy. Instead, it's about changing how your body responds to stress, giving your system the tools it needs to maintain balance, even when life gets challenging. It's about resilience.
That's incredibly empowering, yeah. So this raises a really important question for everyone listening. What can they actually do? Where do we even begin to tackle this chronic stress and its impact on blood pressure?
Well, your most immediate tool, and maybe the most powerful one you have, is simply your breath. Think about it. When you're stressed, your breathing gets shallow, rapid.
Right.
That signals your nervous system to stay locked in that fight or flight state. But you can consciously reverse this. The 4-7-8 breathing technique, for example, it's highly effective and surprisingly simple. You just breathe in through your nose for 4 counts, hold that breath gently for 7 counts, then exhale slowly, completely through your mouth for 8 counts.
Okay, 4, 7, 8.
Exactly. And Harvard Medical School research shows this simple technique can actively lower blood pressure by 3 to 5 points within just a few minutes.
Just minutes.
Just minutes. I usually recommend practicing this maybe 3 times daily, perhaps upon waking, before meals, and before sleep, just to really help recalibrate your nervous system throughout the day.
That 4-7-8 technique sounds incredibly practical, simple. But, for some listeners, especially those over 60, maybe getting that rhythm down or even just finding those quiet moments, that might feel like another stressor in itself. What's the biggest hurdle you see people face when trying to adopt practices like this, and how do you advise them to kind of get past it?
That's a fantastic point. And yeah, it's a very common hurdle. I think the biggest challenge is often consistency. And maybe the feeling that you have to do it perfectly right from the start.
Right.
Exactly. So my advice is always to reframe it. Don't aim for perfection, just aim for progress. Little bits. Start with just one cycle of 4, 7, 8 breathing. Maybe just once a day. Do it while you're waiting for the kettle to boil. Or, before you check your emails in the morning. The key is simply to do it, even imperfectly. Those small, consistent moments, they really add up. They create profound physiological changes over time without adding to your stress load.
That's a great way to think about progress, not perfection. And beyond just breath work, what about more sustained practices like meditation? It feels like that's another area where ancient wisdom meets modern science.
It absolutely does, yeah. Regular meditation and mindfulness practices, they've been shown studies published just this year, 2024, to reduce blood pressure by up to 12 points.
12 points.
Significant, isn't it? And what's truly fascinating, I think, is that brain imaging studies show meditation actually increases gray matter, the brain tissue, in areas responsible for stress regulation, while at the same time, it decreases activity in the amygdala, which is kind of your brain's alarm center.
So you're literally rewiring your brain.
You are. You're quite literally rewiring your brain's response to stress. For seniors who might be new to meditation, just start small. Maybe 5 minutes daily. There are tons of guided meditations available online, apps, or you can simply find a quiet spot, sit comfortably, and just gently focus on the sensation of your breath. That's it.
It reminds me of my neighbor Joan. She absolutely swears by her daily walk. She always says it's not just for her heart, but is her reset button for the whole day. Does that connection between movement and stress hold true? Even with gentle exercise like walking?
Absolutely. Movement is profound medicine. Joan is on to something. For seniors, I particularly recommend things like Tai Chi and Qigong. These are gentle, flowing movements that combine physical activity with meditation and breath work. And research shows Tai Chi can lower blood pressure just as effectively as moderate intensity aerobic exercise. Plus, it improves balance and flexibility, which is a huge bonus as we age.
Yeah, definitely.
But Joan's intuition is spot on. Even a daily 20-30 minute walk can significantly impact both stress levels and blood pressure. It doesn't have to be strenuous. Consistency, not necessarily intensity, is often the key.
And maybe don't underestimate the healing power of just being outside, in nature. I've heard about forest bathing. Is there real science behind that?
There is indeed. It sounds a bit whimsical, but the Japanese research on forest bathing, or Shinrin-yoku, has shown it can significantly reduce blood pressure, lower stress hormones like cortisol, and even boost immune function. It's really about immersing yourself in the sensory experience of nature, the sights, sounds, smells, and you don't need a deep forest to get the benefits. Even 15 minutes daily in a garden, a local park, or heck, simply sitting by a window with a view of some trees, that can be enough to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest response, the opposite of fight or flight.
I think we often forget that our social connections are just as vital for our health as the physical stuff. Can strong relationships actually act as a kind of buffer against stress and its impact on blood pressure?
Oh, they absolutely can. And it's a really profound area of research right now. Loneliness is increasingly recognized as a major health risk for seniors. Some studies put it on par with smoking or obesity in terms of risk.
No.
Because chronic loneliness creates this persistent low-level stress response that directly impacts blood pressure. Conversely, strong social connections, they act as a powerful buffer against stress. They promote feelings of security, belonging. So really prioritize those relationships, whether it's regular phone calls with family, joining community groups, volunteering, maybe even adopting a pet. These connections foster oxytocin release, sometimes called the bonding hormone, which is known to lower stress and blood pressure.
That's fascinating. So beyond these broader lifestyle changes, are there more specific traditional Chinese medicine approaches that listeners could maybe explore or even try at home?
Yes, definitely. As we touched on earlier, acupuncture can be very effective for lowering blood pressure by regulating the nervous system and improving that qi flow. But for self-administered relief, you can try acupressure, applying gentle pressure to specific points.
Okay.
For calming the mind and reducing stress-related blood pressure spikes, maybe focus on 2 key points. One is the yin-tang point, that little space right between your eyebrows. Just apply gentle circular pressure there for a minute or 2. It feels nice, actually. And the other is the shenmen point, located in that little triangular hollow in the upper part of your ear. You can gently massage this area with your fingertip. Both of these points are really well known in TCM for their calming effects.
Interesting. And what about herbal support? Is there anything from, nature's pharmacy that can gently aid in this whole process?
There certainly is potential there, but, and this is a critical caveat always, with caution and guidance. Hawthorn berry, for instance, has been used for centuries. It's renowned for supporting cardiovascular health and also reducing anxiety. Hibiscus tea, just drinking it daily, has actually been shown in some studies to lower blood pressure almost as effectively as some medications.
Really? Hibiscus tea?
Yes. However, and this is crucial, you absolutely must consult your healthcare provider before adding any herbal supplements, especially if you're already taking blood pressure medications.
Right. Interactions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Some combinations can interact negatively, even dangerously, so always check first.
That's a really vital reminder, thank you. And circling back to sleep quickly, because you highlighted how important it is. What are some simple, practical steps for better sleep hygiene, especially for seniors dealing with stress?
Yeah, creating a calming bedtime routine is paramount. It's like giving your nervous system a signal. Okay, time to shift from stress mode into repair mode. Simple things work best. Keep your bedroom cool, ideally around 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Use blackout curtains if you can to block out all light. Light interferes with melatonin, and this is a big one. Try to establish a technology-free hour before sleep.
Ooh, that's tough for some.
It is tough, but really important. No screens, phones, tablets, TV. The blue light they emit really messes with melatonin production, the hormone that tells your body it's time to sleep. These practices just help ensure your body gets those crucial repair periods, allowing your blood pressure to naturally lower overnight.
All these techniques sound incredibly beneficial, so it's really about building a kind of personalized toolkit, isn't it? Finding what works for you.
Precisely. Exactly that. The most effective approach usually combines several techniques into a daily routine that feels sustainable and, importantly, enjoyable for you. Even small, regular actions, they really compound over time. They create significant improvements in both your stress resilience and your blood pressure control. Don't feel like you need to adopt everything all at once. That can be overwhelming. Just pick one or two things that resonate the most with you from our chat today. Start there and build from there gently.
Okay, now let's pivot slightly to another vital area: what you eat and how you live day to day. For listeners concerned about their blood pressure, the DASH diet often comes up. We hear that term a lot. But for someone who already knows about general healthy eating, how does the DASH diet specifically address the stress-blood pressure connection in maybe a unique way?
That's a great question, because it goes beyond just general healthy eating. It acts almost like a physiological shield against stress. The dietary approaches to stop hypertension, it isn't just a trend, it's seriously scientifically proven. Mayo Clinic research confirms it can lower blood pressure by 8 to 14 points, often within weeks.
Oh, that's fast.
It can be. It emphasizes fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, low-fat dairy, while really rigorously limiting sodium, sugar, and processed foods. Now, the connection to stress is profound here. By stabilizing your blood sugar levels and providing a steady stream of essential micronutrients, the DASH diet directly counters those erratic cortisol spikes and the inflammatory responses that chronic stress triggers. It's essentially calming your internal alarm system from the inside out. When your body gets consistent, nourishing fuel, your energy stays more even, your mood can stabilize, and your stress hormones naturally tend to level off.
Okay, that explanation really clarifies its specific role in managing stress-induced blood pressure. Thanks. And speaking of dietary specifics, sodium reduction is always highlighted. But for seniors, is there a unique angle to sodium sensitivity, and how does that link back to stress?
There absolutely is a unique sensitivity that increases with age. It's quite common. The average American consumes something like 3,400 milligrams of sodium daily. But the ideal, especially for blood pressure management, is much lower, closer to 1,500 milligrams.
Big difference.
Huge difference. And the real culprit often isn't the salt shaker on the table, it's the hidden sodium in processed foods, restaurant meals, even things that seem healthy like breads or soup.
Right, it's everywhere.
It is. And sodium sensitivity generally increases with age. So an amount of salt that didn't really affect you much at 40 might significantly impact your blood pressure at 65 or 70. When you consume excess sodium, your body holds onto water to dilute it. This increases your blood volume, which forces your heart to pump harder. That added workload is itself a stressor on the cardiovascular system. So reading labels becomes really crucial. Aim for products with less than 140 milligrams of sodium per serving if you can, and actively use herbs and spices. Garlic, Basil, turmeric, pepper, they have fantastic flavor and often have their own cardiovascular benefits without the sodium.
Okay, so less sodium is definitely good. But what about its counterbalance? Potassium. We always hear about bananas, but are there other key sources? And how does potassium specifically help with stress-related blood pressure?
Yeah, potassium is definitely blood pressure's best friend. It directly counteracts the effects of sodium. It helps your kidneys flush out excess sodium, which is great, but it also helps to relax the walls of your blood vessels.
Okay.
This relaxation helps ease the tension that stress can induce in your arteries. It helps them open up a bit. The daily goal is somewhere between 3,500 and 4,700 milligrams. And while bananas are good, they get all the press. But things like sweet potatoes, spinach, avocados, white beans, even salmon, they actually pack more potassium per serving.
Good to know.
Yeah. So try to include these potassium-rich foods at every meal, really, to help maintain that crucial sodium-potassium balance.
That's a great tip for expanding beyond just bananas. Definitely need more spinach. And then there's magnesium. That seems to pop up in so many health discussions lately. What's its unique connection to stress and blood pressure, particularly for seniors?
The magnesium connection is incredibly vital and often overlooked. Magnesium deficiency is actually surprisingly common in seniors, and it's directly linked to both increased feelings of stress and higher blood pressure. This mineral is a real workhorse. It's involved in over 300 different enzymatic processes in the body, including those that regulate blood pressure, nerve function, and even stress hormone production. Critically, it helps relax the smooth muscle cells within your artery walls, directly countering that vessel constriction we see with stress. Excellent sources include dark leafy greens, like that spinach, nuts, seeds, whole grains, and yes, even a little bit of good quality dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate, good news.
In moderation. Supplementation might be considered too, but again, always best discussed with a doctor first.
Okay. What about omega-3 fatty acids? They're often hailed for heart health in general. Do they play a specific role in mitigating this stress blood pressure dynamic we're talking about?
They absolutely do. Think of omega-3s as nature's powerful anti-inflammatory agents. Chronic inflammation, as we discussed earlier, is a key driver. It fuels both chronic stress responses and cardiovascular disease, especially damaging the lining of blood vessels. Omega-3s, which you find abundantly in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, they provide potent anti-inflammatory effects. They also directly support heart health and can even help stabilize mood, which is linked to stress. The American Heart Association recommends aiming for at least 2 servings of fatty fish per week. If you don't eat fish regularly, plant-based options like flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts are also good sources, though the conversion in the body isn't quite as efficient. They definitely help calm that inflammatory response, easing the burden on your cardiovascular system.
Makes sense. Now, the world seems to run on caffeine these days. For someone over 60 dealing with stress and blood pressure, is caffeine a friend or a foe? Or is it more complicated?
It's definitely nuanced. It's not a simple yes or no. Moderate intake, maybe 1 or 2 cups of coffee daily, might actually provide some cardiovascular benefits for certain individuals. Some studies suggest that. However, if you find you're particularly sensitive to caffeine, or if you notice it clearly increases your anxiety levels, maybe it triggers heart palpitations, or definitely interferes with your sleep, then reducing your intake could significantly help both your stress levels and your blood pressure. It's very individual. For a gentler alternative, maybe consider green tea. It contains L-theanine, an amino acid known for promoting relaxation without necessarily causing the jitters some people get from coffee. And interestingly, in TCM, green tea is viewed as having properties that calm the liver and support kidney function, which aligns nicely with its stress-reducing potential.
Okay, that's helpful. And what about alcohol? It seems like another one where the advice is usually about moderation, but is there a specific impact on seniors and blood pressure that we should be aware of?
Alcohol is indeed an area where balance is absolutely key, and that balance definitely shifts with age. Light to moderate consumption, generally defined as maybe 1 drink daily for women, up to 2 for men, may provide some cardiovascular benefits for some individuals. The research is complex. However, consistently exceeding these amounts, that reliably raises blood pressure, and it can significantly interfere with sleep quality and overall stress management, creating another negative cycle. And importantly for seniors, alcohol metabolism tends to slow down considerably with age. So an amount that might have been fine at 40 could have a much greater physiological impact, including on blood pressure at 65 or 70.
That's a really important point about metabolism changing. We've talked a lot about what to eat, what to maybe limit, but what about something as fundamental as hydration? just drinking enough water. Is that a bigger factor than we realize for blood pressure?
It's hugely important and often overlooked, yet absolutely crucial. Proper hydration is essential for maintaining healthy blood volume and regulating blood pressure. Yet many seniors simply don't drink enough water throughout the day. It's a common issue. Dehydration causes your blood volume to decrease slightly, but this paradoxically stresses your cardiovascular system because your heart then has to work harder to circulate slightly thicker blood. The standard advice is aiming for about 6 to 8 glasses of water daily. And remember, beyond plain water, things like herbal teas, water-rich fruits like melon or berries, and soups all contribute to your daily fluid intake.
Good reminder. Now, from a traditional Chinese medicine perspective, does the timing of our meals matter? Can when we eat affect our energy and, by extension, maybe our blood pressure?
It does, according to TCM principles, yes. TCM emphasizes eating in harmony with your body's natural energy rhythms to support optimal function. The traditional advice is generally to eat your largest meal earlier in the day when your digestive energy or digestive fire is considered strongest. Then have a moderate lunch and keep dinner lighter and earlier, ideally finishing at least 3 hours before you plan to go to bed. This allows your digestive system to work efficiently during the day and then rest overnight. This supports better sleep quality and more stable blood pressure throughout the night. A heavy, late meal, on the other hand, can disrupt this balance, potentially impacting both sleep and blood pressure regulation.
That makes a lot of intuitive sense, actually. And what about the gut? We hear so much about the gut-brain connection these days. Is there also a kind of gut-heart connection related to blood pressure?
Absolutely, yes. It's a really burgeoning and exciting area of research. The bacteria living in your digestive system, your gut microbiome, they actually produce various compounds that can influence blood pressure levels and inflammation throughout your entire body.
Fascinating.
It is. A healthy, diverse gut flora seems to help regulate these factors beneficially. So incorporating fermented foods like yogurt with live cultures, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, these can help. And also eating plenty of fiber-rich foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, because fiber is essentially food for those beneficial gut bacteria. Nourishing them helps support your cardiovascular health indirectly.
Okay. And finally, a topic many people grapple with: weight management. How does losing even a small amount of weight impact this stress-blood pressure equation, especially for seniors?
It's truly remarkable how impactful even small changes in weight can be. You don't need drastic loss. Losing just 5 to 10 pounds often results in meaningful blood pressure reductions. It eases the strain on your heart, your blood vessels.
Just 5 or 10 pounds?
Often, yes. For seniors, the focus should always be on sustainable, gradual changes, emphasizing adding nutrient-dense foods and incorporating gentle movement, rather than focusing solely on severe calorie restriction, which can be stressful in itself. These sustainable shifts feel less like a diet or a stressor, and more like a supportive, long-term lifestyle change.
So it really comes back to making it personal, making it manageable, making it sustainable.
Exactly, that's the key. Creating your personalized nutrition plan is about starting small. It's not about perfection overnight. Maybe add 1 extra serving of vegetables to your day. Replace 1 processed snack with a piece of fruit. Try cooking with a new herb each week instead of reaching for salt. Food should be medicine, absolutely, but it should also be pleasurable and sustainable for your life. And one last time, because it's so important, always consult your doctor or healthcare provider before making significant dietary changes, especially if you have existing medical conditions or take medications that affect blood pressure or interact with foods.
Absolutely. As we wrap up this deep dive, it's just abundantly clear, isn't it, how incredibly interconnected all these daily choices are. Your stress levels, your blood pressure, how you feel. I'm thinking of someone I heard about, Margaret, a 68-year-old grandmother. Her blood pressure had her doctor quite concerned, talking about increasing medications. She was feeling overwhelmed, like her body was sort of betraying her. But she decided to start small, really small, just one thing, a daily 15-minute walk in the local park. And she started practicing that 4-7-8 breathing technique we talked about. Just those 2 things, consistently. 3 months later, her blood pressure is back in the normal range. She's sleeping peacefully through the night. And apparently she just radiates this kind of calm confidence, the kind that comes from taking charge of your health naturally. That's the body's remarkable regenerative capacity, right there at work. You don't need to overhaul your entire life overnight based on this conversation. Just maybe pick 1 technique that resonated with you, 1 small change from everything we've discussed today.
That's precisely the power of it. Each positive choice, no matter how small it seems, it creates this upward spiral of wellness. Better stress management improves your sleep. Better sleep helps stabilize your blood pressure. Lower blood pressure reduces your anxiety about your health. which then decreases your overall stress level. It truly builds on itself. And don't underestimate the power of community and connection in this. Sharing what you've learned today, maybe with a friend or family member you care about, that can be a significant predictor of success for both of you. By modeling healthy stress management and these natural approaches, you're not just improving your own life, you're kind of creating a legacy. You're showing that aging doesn't have to automatically mean accepting decline. Your age isn't a limitation here in many ways, it's an advantage. It brings wisdom, perspective to these practices. The stress and blood pressure challenges you might be facing today, they aren't permanent sentences. Think of them more like valuable information, guiding you toward a more balanced, more intentional way of living. So start with that one small change, something that feels manageable, maybe even appealing. And always remember, please consult with your healthcare provider before making significant changes, especially regarding medications.
Absolutely. So maybe the final thought is this: the connection between stress and blood pressure, it isn't just a challenge, it's actually a profound opportunity. An opportunity to take control, to reconnect with your body's innate wisdom and really cultivate the vibrant, peaceful life you truly deserve.